Hello, everyone, and good morning. Today is Monday, October 14th. First and foremost, I got to get a shout out to my baby girl, Mariah. Happy birthday, baby. Happy 28th. We are ready to get this little girl here. I know you are. I'll see you in a few hours. Love you. That is so hard to believe. My little girl is 28 years old today. That day I will never forget, because I was supposed to go hunting with my dad, which, to think back on it, with her so close to being due, which she wasn't due for a few days. And, and my dad and I, we were only going hunting that morning and coming back. Well, Mariah's mom, she hits me that morning early, and she said, honey, it's time. And I'm like, oh my God, is Dad here? I mean, I thought I'd overslept. I thought my alarm didn't go off and I was late for hunting. And I mean, you were never late for hunting. I mean, you might not be on time for anything else. I mean, but hunting, no, never late. Fishing, never late. But anyway, no, it was time for the baby, and we got up, and we actually thought that we would end up coming back. They'd send us back home. So I remember we put spaghetti in a crock pot to make while we were gone. And we didn't come back that day. We left that morning, got to the hospital around 7, and Mariah was born at 7:14 that night. So, God, it's just hard to believe. 28 years ago. But also, guys, happy, as most of us know it, Columbus Day, but that is now becoming Indigenous People Day. And I mean, I think that's a very welcome change. I know it took place in D.C. They made a temporary vote trying to make it permanent. And also Louisiana, today the Houma tribe is celebrating their first Indigenous Peoples Day, which, I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, it's not like on, President's Day, we really celebrate, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, but we don't celebrate John Wilkes Booth. Now, I'm not saying Columbus killed, well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they did. I mean, history tells us they did, but it was what happened after that, because, if you don't know, Indigenous people are people who live where their ancestors were born. And guys, I got news for most of you. You're not Indigenous. Not even a little bit. I mean, you can count that 1/16 Cherokee on your great-grandma's side, but I mean, okay, that's a little bit. But that just means you're 15 more times likely to go take over a nation of people and just, kick them completely off their land. And, and I think back on that, and don't get me wrong, guys, I am proud to be an American. I am proud to be born in this country. And more so than I'm proud, but I'm also I'm thankful. I'm thankful to be born here, but imagine saying that statement 500 years ago. I'm thankful to be born here. Because, when I think of the American Indian, I think they were probably thankful to be born in this country, because they are the indigenous people here. I mean, most of us, we're English, we're Irish, we're African, we're Spanish, we're Italian, Russian, German. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, but I mean, Columbus discovering the Americas, I mean, for a lot of people, it brought on a lot of bad shit. And, this is the way you have to look at it. Think about now. Imagine the U.S., because I mean, we are powerful. I mean, we got some power. And we're bullies as well. But imagine us going over to a country, and you got to pick out a fairly good-sized country, because I mean, we wasn't real sure how big this bitch was back then, but it was big. We knew it was big. I mean, we had to send people exploring, but I mean, that was many years later. And fuck, it took them forever to reach that other side. I mean, a bunch of them died on the way. But, you know, and see, that's another thing. Guys, I'm going to take a break from that just a minute, but, you know, talking with a friend recently, and I actually felt a lot better because I realized it wasn't just me and I wasn't going crazy. Because I've got a 28-year-old daughter today. And I'm 46, and, you know, sometimes I'm talking and going on the line of something, or I'm going to look up a website, or, you know, I'm going to run over to Publix to pick up the one missing ingredient that I'm missing for dinner. Like, I'm making pasta bolognese. And I've got everything I need. I mean, I've got all 5,000 spices that I need for this crazy recipe. It's so good, but it's crazy to make. But I don't got celery. Celery, one of the main parts, one of the simplest things, but I don't got celery. So I take my happy ass over to the Publix and I go to get celery. Well, sometime between leaving here and getting the 5-minute trip to Publix, or sometimes I remember when I get to Publix and when I walk in, and I forget completely what I was going after. Now I know a lot of you do that. You go to Walmart to pick up dog food, and when you go in, this is where your mistake is. When you go in, you get that shopping cart because the dog food's heavy. I mean, you know, you got some big ass dogs. You got some big ass dogs and they're eating some shit at your house. So, I mean, you probably need not one, but probably 2 big bags of the big dog food. So you get that shopping cart. Now, these 2 big bags, they take a lot of the shopping cart up. But by the time you leave this bitch, you've not only got the shopping cart with the 2 bags of dog food, you ended up getting cat litter for a cat you didn't even know you had. Plus you got 2 other shopping carts that you're pulling around just full of shit. You have done spent. I used to laugh that it was $100, but I don't think they let you walk in the store for $100 now. I think it costs you $2 every time, two big ones every time you go. I don't go. Luckily, I don't live near one, and I'm getting ready to be near one soon. I still don't want to go. But anyway, I go in Publix to get that celery, and I end up with a foot-long chicken tender sub with all the fixings on it. I walk out of Publix thinking, okay, because I'm not going to eat it there. It's a beautiful day outside. There's no reason to eat it there. I'm thinking, okay, do I want to take this and go home and eat it on the balcony? Or do I want to go over here to the park on the beach and eat this up? Then about that time I remember I have got a whole kitchen full of shit already laid out to make this 3-hour pasta sauce. And I've got a chicken tender sub and not one stalk of fucking celery. So guys, if you're listening to me and you're, you know, in my daughter's generation, if you're younger, if you're somewhere in between, but you still remember everything, I've got a great memory. Something I need to remember, I can remember it. And I make sure I remember it because now we all got these wonderful things called these smartphones. And if you've got an iPhone, I mean, just open your calendar app, make you a calendar reminder. Hell, tell Siri to do it. If you've got an Android, I mean, I love all you Android users, but I don't know shit about it. You know how to use the calendar, just do it that way. It's got to be on there. I mean, Google don't play. All right, so, you know, but that chicken tender sub's really good. I mean, most time I will go back and get the celery because I already got this shit started. But I mean, it's going to take 3 hours. really, the chicken cinder sub was actually good thinking in the foresight. Because chances are I'm hungry. If I'm willing to make pasta sauce like that, I mean, that tells you I'm hungry. Because I like to cook when I'm hungry. But I know that this shit takes 3 hours to make, so getting the sub was actually good thinking. Anyway, guys, go ahead and, even if you remember everything, go ahead and start making your calendar reminders now. Just get in the habit of doing it, and I'm going to tell you the real main reason why. Because when you do get to the age that you start forgetting shit, you will already be in the habit of putting the calendar reminders in, so you ain't going to feel bad about losing your memory. You ain't going to feel bad about it. I mean, I'm not saying I feel bad, but, some people are real sensitive. I had a friend several years ago now. Makes that bitch old. She was turning 40, and she sends this message out. Nobody send me a happy birthday. Nobody tell me happy birthday on my birthday. I don't want a cake. I don't want anything. I just want to forget the day ever happened. Well, there's several problems with that plan. First and foremost, okay, your birthday is one single solitary day. Okay, if you want to forget that day, fine. Forget that day. The following day, you are 40 fucking years old and a day. You're older than you was on the day that you turned 40. You should celebrate the fuck out of turning 40, because when you're getting ready to turn 40, it's the youngest you ever going to be again. You ain't never going to turn 40, not one more time, not during this life. Now, maybe, I don't know what you believe, but if you believe we get reincarnated, maybe in another life you do turn 40 again. Maybe your ass is a bug. You get squashed right on the fucking floor real damn quick. Like you ain't but like 5 days old. I mean, that's why I really can't get behind that. But I mean, okay. But anyway, whatever age you are, be happy about it. Because the truth is, you're either happy or you ain't. You either happy or you ain't happy. And one more day ain't going to change shit in your happiness. Because if you're turning 40 in it and automatically life takes you to a bad place, maybe you need to check what place you're in. Maybe it ain't the right place for you. I don't know. I don't got all the answers. I ain't got all the answers for me. I'm living this bitch one day at a time. And I'm having fun and I'm happy. But, okay, back to the indigenous peoples' days. Now, people, you got to stay with me, because I don't care which side of my audience you're on. Don't get shit blown out of the water. But let's go back to the indigenous people. And, I was about to say, what if us as a country, we go take some big country over now, and I mean, we go into villages and we just wipe out the whole damn town. It's ours. We're taking this bitch. We are taking it. It belongs to us. Can anybody even imagine that happening? But it did. It did. And I'm going to tell you why it did. Because one invention in the history of the world really changed the course of our world forever. The invention of the firearm. Because now the Indians had weapons. And I mean, these bitches, I mean, they was fierce. They were warriors. I mean, even when they didn't have the weapons, they could still, sometimes, not always, I mean, many times they won the battle, but they did not win the war. But had it not been for the modern firearm, or gunpowder, just go back to gunpowder and the bullet, we wouldn't have been, our ancestors would not have been coming across the big pond. It taking them 6 months to get here. I mean, you just imagine. You're on a ship. Now, we can't think about a cruise liner because, I mean, there wasn't anything like that. I mean, these were small. You didn't have the jogging track. You could go out and get some exercise. So these guys are on this ship for 6 months coming across the water. And I mean, they're eating. You got to eat. So I imagine they're a little out of shape by the time they get to the Americas. I don't think you want to take on no Indian in no hand-to-hand combat. I don't think you want to get close enough to one of them with your sword. But because it would have been a different outcome. It would have been, well, it would have been the Indians lived here. We would have got our asses kicked and went back to whichever part of the water we came from. But the firearm did that. Now, I'm not saying I'm anti-gun, because you have to understand, at seven, this is 7. Okay, I may joke with you, I may carry on. This is no bullshit. At 7 years old, I was entrusted by my parents, at least my father. I mean, my mom was probably against it a little bit, but I was entrusted by my father to take a small caliber, a 410 shotgun in the woods by myself to hunt for squirrels. Now, that should tell you a little something. My life growing up, my grandfather hunted, my father hunted. It was passed down from generation to generation because they learned to hunt here on this land after they took the land from the Indians. And, you're in a new land. You can't run down to the butcher store. You got to go out and get you a deer to eat. Now, so it was a part of my growing up. It was a part of my child rearing that I learned not only how to use a firearm, but how to use it safely, how to use it practically. And at 7 years old, knew those rules well enough that I was entrusted to go out. There is not one 7-year-old that I can know of, that I would do the same thing with in this day and age. Because, one, I grew up in a different time, but more importantly, I grew up in a different place. I knew how to use firearms. In my household, the firearms were there to hunt game animals that we would eat. Now, did we have to hunt them? No. But it was tradition that was passed down, and it was sporting, and we were not out shooting animals and wasting them. Whatever we shot, we ate, or we gave to someone who did eat. I do not like squirrel. I've never liked squirrel. No, thank you. I mean, I get it if you love them. Yes, many people do. My grandfather thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. I'd take them all to him. But many people don't grow up that way. They don't understand the capabilities of what that gun can do. They've never seen anything, I'm going to be real, they've never seen anything die in front of them. I don't know, but the people who are extreme pro-gun, I mean, I love you, you're my people. I mean, you are my people because but this is my thing. You have to understand, the majority of the world did not grow up the way we did. And so for me to say that anybody should be able to go out and buy, yes, we should be able to defend ourselves. You are absolutely right. And in this world, we have to defend ourselves. But guess why we do? It's because somebody invented the fucking gun. Now, I don't know. I don't know what the world would be like, but I know it would be different. And I believe it would be a better place. I think we'd all be a lot more physically fit because, I mean, then your skill depends on, your prowess. And that's another thing. I am thankful for how I grew up. I am thankful for it because if something ever happens, because I don't know what the next crazy thing like that will be the equivalent of the gun to our generation that will cause harm to millions. I mean, it could be some kind of plague, it could be some kind of chemical weapon, but this time, what if what is now one of the most powerful nations in the world, some kind of plague is invented, and it's like a zombie virus and it can't be stopped. But you take some little country, they have the vaccine, they have the cure for it. If they don't want to give it up, I mean, it can be the same to us. I mean, I know today is way deep. But it's just a lot of things to think about on this Indigenous Peoples Columbus Day. I mean, again, I think the change is good, but when I was reading about that, it got me to thinking about, if any one of my listeners can tell me one good thing, and the one good thing can't be because, my grandson growing up, I teach him how to shoot, and we went out and we killed some squirrels. Yes, those are good memories for us, but I mean, that's not what I'm getting at. Tell me one good thing that the invention of gunpowder, or discovery of gunpowder, and the invention of the bullet did for good. And in order for it to do something good, it can't be to prevent something that already happened because of that firearm. Because, had that not happened, we wouldn't have had 9/11. I don't know. But considering the two close relatives of mine committed suicide with a firearm, maybe I would still have them. I don't know. And I'll never know. But it's one of those things, and it's kind of like that chicken tender soup. I didn't mean to go get that bitch. I didn't mean to talk about this, but I mean, again, guys, if you're extreme pro-gun, if you're a hunter, if you're a sportsman, I love you. I am getting ready to go to Southwest Virginia here in a few hours, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, there is parts of me, I've got a hoodie on right now, and I've got a hoodie just because I'm getting ready to go, and I'm getting ready because it's going to be cooler. I hope it is. You guys been having a heat wave, but I hope it's cooling off a little. But I mean, I'd love to be hanging on the side of a tree. To me, it was spiritual. It was never about the animal. I mean, it was. I love the white-tailed deer. I respect, because they're survivors. Because they're the American Indian out there. But there's many of you guys, I love you, but you've been hunting that old boy for years, and he keeps outsmarting you. Fuck, them bastards used to drive me fucking crazy. And they're not smart. It's not that. Don't kid yourselves. They're adaptable. They know their surroundings, and they're adaptable. But guys, tomorrow we will be coming to you from Virginia. We will have Cole on, co-hosting with me. I'm excited. I'm excited to see my daughter. I'm ready for this grandbaby to get here. Ready to see my son this coming weekend, and my grandson, Raylan. Love you guys. See you tomorrow.